Hi, welcome to Gabie's Knit Goodies. I am Gabie and I have some lovely knits to talk to you about. I have one new one and then the Gro Shawl to talk about. And I've even filmed a little extra thing about the Gro Shawl that hopefully you guys will like. But first you can find my hand-dyed yarn on Etsy. I dye all these little yarn babies. I'm not a huge shop, but I love to knit and I love all the colors that I dye. And if you see anything online or here that I don't have available online, just or not available in the quantity you want, just let me know. And a lot of times I can dye it for you. And I'm also at Gabie's Knit Goodies on Instagram, and I have GKG Yarn on Instagram where I just show them all my little yarn pictures. Yeah. So anyways, let's get going. I'm not going to show you guys sweater number 20 because I've just made a little bit more progress. I have like this much left to go on the second sleeve. So I'm excited about that. But it takes, oh fine, maybe I'll show it to you. It takes focus. It's all over cables, but it's not difficult, but it definitely takes focus because the cables are not memorizable. Like, just because it's so many different cables and they all like cross over at different times. So it's not memorizable at all, so I have to like sit down and focus when I do it and check off each row as I go. But let's see if I can line this up properly. I only have like that much more left to go before I'm on ribbing for the sleeve, and then I pick up and do the neck ribbing. So I feel like once I get to that, it'll go by kind of fast. So sweater number 20 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and knit out of White Swan, merino, and cloud, kid mohair, and silk. Available in my shop. And I have another white item, or cream colored, is the Gro Shawl. I have made a good amount of progress on this. It's very mindless, so it comes with me everywhere. I love a mindless knit these days. The only time it's not mindless is when you get to one of these columns of stockinette stitch when you're decreasing on the one side and you have to do this pretty braid, which I love. But it is growing so much you can't even really see it all on the thing. But I like it a lot. And in case you haven't watched my previous episodes, this is a gift knit, and it's called the Gro Shawl by Fiber Tales, and I'm knitting it for my sister-in-law to have in her office. It's so pretty. Alright, so this is being knit out of Polar Bear 100% merino. It is 3-ply superwash merino, and it's very, very squishy and like lofty. So it works really well with this pattern. Hers is an unspun, an unspun like a roving, I guess, that she holds double. And with her gauge, it's a very loose gauge, it seems. This seemed to work well for it. Alright, so I was able to film a little bit, kind of over my shoulder, of me doing one of these little braids here. And so I will show you guys that. Alrighty then. So as you decrease along one side of the Gro Shawl, when you come to your columns here of stockinette stitch, you actually unravel all the way down to the bottom here where you cast on, a few rows up from that, and then you braid it up. So I have come to another column. Before I go any farther, I wanted to do a little filming so I could show you guys. So there's 2 stitches that you unravel, and I went ahead and put a little stitch marker here into those 2 stitches at the bottom so that I wouldn't accidentally unravel all the way down to the cast on edge. And so now I just have to pull it all the way down. So here are those 2 little stitches right here. And I just pull up the bar in between. You can do it like with a crochet hook, or just use your fingers. You just keep pulling it up. It is a little bit tedious, especially as they get longer. Each one you do, the shawl is growing, and so each one of these is longer and longer. I've done 3 so far, so they get longer each time. Alright, I'm almost down to the bottom where I need to stop. I have secured those 2 stitches so it won't unravel all the way. So here I am down here at the bottom, and I take my crochet hook. Well, let me show you what it looks like first. And it looks really quite big, but don't worry, it will look nice like this after we use our crochet hook. So you take your crochet hook, you put it in those stitches at the bottom here. You could take off that, and then we just take the number of bars that the pattern says and pull it through. So the one thing to be careful with here is that you get them in order, that you don't mess up their order. Otherwise it can mess up the bag, or you could skip one. So you just grab those and then you pull it through the ones that were on the hook. So grab the next few and you pull them through, just like that. And you do it all the way up until you've done them all. Like I said, making sure you don't skip any. If you skipped them, you'd have a big loop on the back. I accidentally did that on my second row I was doing, or second column I was working. And then look. So it goes from this, which is huge, to this lovely little braid. Okay, then you do it all the way up. Oh, I can show you what I mean here by skipping. I accidentally skipped this bar and picked up these. So you just have to back out and fix it. Alright, and there you have it. Braided all the way up. And this looks so much prettier than this. I love it. So when that is done, you just put these back on your needles and you treat it as either 1 or 2 stitches. There we go. And now it's all done. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more to do on this side. But it's beautiful and I love it. Lovely design by Fiber Tales. Alright, so I just have a little bit more to go. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 more of those braids left. And then I will be done. And the braids get longer and longer each time. But they're not bad. They're not difficult at all. They just, it stops being mindless when you have to do the braid, but then it goes back to being mindless for a while. So I'm really, really loving this. I have a new whip. And this is something that I am developing for my Learn to Knit and Crochet class. This is it's going to be a cowl, and it is Mosaic Colorwork. I really like how it's turning out. It's super fun. It's kind of like triangles, but it almost like fades from one color to the other. The way I have the pattern going, and then it'll go back to gray. I'm using, this is a Fiber Company yarn, and it has a lot of different fibers in there. I know there's some alpaca, and I don't remember what else, but it's a number of things in there, and it's a single ply. And then this one's also a single ply, and I'm not really sure what company makes it, but it's one of those like dyed-in-the-wool, kind of rusticy, like thick thin type thing. It's not super varied in the thickness, but there are a few places where it has some big nubbins of colors. But it kind of fades from purple to orange and pink. It's really pretty and I really like it. However, for my students, I think a more defined color work will be easier for them. So having 2 solid colors would probably be better, because it's a little, the color work's not as clear, because like here the contrast is like purpley color and then it gets to orange. Yeah, so you probably can't see the color work quite as clearly when you're using a yarn like this. But it's really pretty and I'm gonna like it. So it's on 24-inch circulars, and I am using Knit Picks wooden needles. They might be like Majestic or something. I don't remember what they're called. A size 8 needles. Yeah, if you're interested in knitting this pattern, please let me know. I would be happy to send it to you. I have, my email address is below, but you could message me in the comments. If I have enough people message me in the comments, I will try to put it up on Ravelry if there's enough interest. Yeah. Anyways, I think Mosaic Colorwork, if you've never done it before, you should totally give it a try. The reason I'm having my students do Mosaic Colorwork as opposed to like stranded knitting is because you only hold one yarn at a time, like one color at a time. And you do like 2 rounds of the same color before you switch and you do 2 rounds of another color. And the way the color work shows through is that you slip the color you're not currently working. So in this round, I'm doing the orangey color, and so I slip the grays, if you can see it. So I would knit all of these oranges and then slip the gray. And your pattern will change as to like which ones you slip and which ones you don't. And typically Mosaic Colorwork doesn't have super long floats in the back, which make it much easier, I think, for a new knitter in terms of like tension. This one, the longest float I have is 3 strands, or 3 rows of knitting, columns of knitting. 3 knit stitches is what you're passing. That's the longest float I have. So the whole tension thing is not as big of an issue, whereas I feel like with stranded color work, it can be more of an issue because you always have to be concerned with the your tension. So here, even though I have like 9 stitches going across of one color before I pick up a gray one and slip it, I don't have any float that's that long because I'm not carrying the gray with me during that row, if that makes any sense. So I think it will work well for them as an introduction to color work. And it's also just knitting. There are no purl stitches in this pattern except for the initial ribbing. Yeah. So I think it's really fun. And you can also do Mosaic color work flat as well. And I still think it's easier as a beginner with color work than stranded knitting because you don't have to deal with 2 yarns that you're managing. They get twisted up, and remember to like pick up the right one. It's a little simpler. So if you haven't done Mosaic color work, I highly recommend giving it a try. All right. Oh, my next knitting project is the Felix cardigan, and I have wound up my first skein of yarn. I have not named this colorway. It looks a little more purpley on the screen than it does in person. It's definitely a brown, but it's a very plummy brown. Yeah, so I don't know what I'm gonna name it yet. And it is a Highland wool, so it's not, I wouldn't say it's scratchy on like my arm, but I would not wear it as like a cowl or anything on my neck. It has a little bit of that, what do they call it, pick or something. It has a little scratchiness. It wouldn't be comfortable up on my neck. But my plan with this cardigan is to have it as more of an outerwear type thing. And I picked the Felix cardigan because I've seen a number of people do the Felix sweater, and it seems very easy. Simple and quick. It's a worsted weight garment, so I think it'll be fairly fast. Yeah, and it has the shape I want, except for one modification I plan on doing. I saw someone, I think it was on Instagram, she's not a knitter, she just was wearing this sweater that had kind of like little ties on the bottom of her cardigan. And her cardigan was open and the little ties were pulled, and so it kind of cinched the hem of the cardigan up a little bit, almost like the bottom of like a jacket or something, that like a bomber jacket or something that has elastic. I don't know. I liked the shape it made, having the hem be able to be cinched in like that. So my plan, instead of doing a regular ribbing at the bottom hem, I plan on like folding it over to make a little double knit hem to thread like an I-cord through, so that I can cinch up the waist and make it almost jacket-like. I think it'll be really cute. I'm hoping that this is the right pattern for it. I think it will. I kind of want it somewhat cropped, not super short, but like right at my hips, or maybe, yeah, about right at my hips, and kind of wide. I want it plenty roomy, but just not super long. And I think it would work well for like high-waisted pants and dresses and just like a little jacket. Yeah. And I think this yarn will work well. It is a non-superwash wool, and I find that non-superwash wool tends to have more elasticity and like bounce back, and so I feel like it will hold its shape really well to give me that look I'm going for. We will see. I tried to find patterns online, like on Ravelry, that had some type of corded waistband, but I didn't find anything, so I just decided I'd do it myself. So y'all can come along for that journey. I don't think it'll be a super long project because it's worsted weight and it's really just stockinette stitch, so wish me luck. I hope it works out how I'm imagining it. It's cute in my head. Anyways, I hope you guys are having a good time with your knitting or crochet or crafting, whatever you're doing, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.